Welcome to a very special new edition of Fork This with Intoxicate. I am your host, Intoxicate Kate Slentz, and due to the recent circumstances, I am trying to come up with some new ways to get information out there efficiently and quickly and accurately as much as possible, because I know at this time the small business owners really need our help collectively as a community. Currently on intoxicate.com, there is a list of restaurants that is growing exponentially of anyone who is offering takeout or delivery. It's organized by by town, and it is made in real time. So as additions keep coming in, just hit refresh on that, and it allows you to kind of navigate who is offering delivery and curbside pickup in your town. And it also has how to do that, exactly what they're offering, as well as the menu. So it's kind of giving you everything in one spot instead of trying to navigate all these different social media pages. So we're trying to make it really clear as possible. Any restaurant owner who wants to participate, please email me. It's kate@communicatemedia.com. I will put that in the comments below, and I will send you the link on how you can actually input your information. We're trying to, again, keep it very clear and concise for people. The list, again, is currently 75 locations strong, which makes me very happy. And we're also starting these conversations. And I love my guest today. She is one of my favorite people. It is Ellen Sledge of Penny Lick Ice Cream. Ellen, how are you? The loaded question, I know.
I don't even know how to ask that question anymore, just much answer it. I mean, I'm fine. I'm healthy. My family is healthy. We are all, hunkering down at home. That is not fun. First couple of days, my kids were excited, and now they hate us. So
I love you. I love you. So, I mean, for those who haven't heard of Penny Lick Ice Cream and maybe living under a rock before this, can you tell us a little bit about when you started Penny Lick and what your mission was?
Sure. I started Penny Lick in 2013. I am a pastry chef by training. I always wanted my own small business. Every chef wants their own small business. And I had very limited funds, and I had 3 very young children. And I wanted to make something and sell something that I didn't ordinarily see in the marketplace. And I went through a list of, because I keep notes on everything in my life, of all of the things that I've made over the years that I love to make the most. And sorry about that. I don't know how to turn that off. I narrowed it down to my 2 favorite things, making candy and making ice cream. And in the middle of the night, in February 2013, during a blizzard, I flipped a coin, and it landed on tails, and I started an ice cream business. It was a small start. I loaned myself $10,000. I got a single push cart. I started at farmers markets. I rented commercial space by the hour. It has grown considerably since then. Our 2020 image of us is we are a growing brand. We have a store that is going to celebrate its 5th birthday this fall in Hastings-on-Hudson. We have a fleet of push carts. You've seen them everywhere in the New York metro area. And we have a brand new factory for wholesale purposes. I am essentially running 2 businesses at the moment. The retail side of the business is the store, it's shop birthday parties, it's carts that go everywhere, frankly, that will let us sell or serve ice cream. And then there's the wholesale side. So I'm really essentially running 2 different mini companies at the moment. It is a clean ingredients ice cream, and I probably should have led with this. We are peanut free, we are tree nut free, we are sesame free. We manufacture everything. We control every step in the process, guaranteeing a nut and sesame free product. And I know that that makes us a bit of a unicorn in this industry. So that's where we're at.
Well, I have to say, I was lucky enough to visit your Wholesale Factory in Portchester a couple of months ago before all of this kind of happened. And I just want to be very clear with everyone so everyone understands. So you have the brick and mortar ice cream shop. You have a robust catering party, system in place for all of your push carts. You host birthday parties in your brick and mortar in Hastings, and then you have this wholesale business where you're working B2B with a lot of area businesses. So let's start at the beginning. And can you tell me a little bit about how the COVID-19 outbreak first affected your business?
It's funny. I think it first affected our business when we started to hear rumors that restaurants and bars might be shut down. Last week, our school district and all the local school districts were talking about closing. They were anticipating closing. Maybe it'll be 1 day, maybe 2 days. There's a lot of fluidity in the situation, and it can feel like a chaos collection of information, for lack of a better explanation for it. Our store was open on Saturday and Sunday, and the lines were long. People were excited to get ice cream. But at the same time, we had birthday parties scheduled that all canceled. And in a space of 48 hours, $11,000 in catered events and parties canceled all at once. And you can't blame them. They were right to cancel. But what that means is that it didn't necessarily hurt our Saturday and our Sunday, but it did hurt our overall revenues. January and February 2020 closed 17% above January and February 2019. In a weird way, thank goodness for climate change. It's a terrible thing, but it was really lovely for our bottom line. We will close March 55% down over March 2019. I am estimating that April 2020 will do 10% of April 2019. What's particularly hard about that for me is even with the wholesale side, even with the catering side, ice cream is seasonal. People see it as seasonal. They are more motivated to get ice cream, to book an ice cream party in warmer months than in colder months. So for seasonal businesses like mine, December, January, and February, the quarter that we are all due to pay taxes on this week, right, is our dry season. March is where we start to open up, where we really start to race and we start to make up for our lost time. A good seasonal business has already planned this out. You conserve cash in the winter, you stockpile cash in the summer to pay for the winter months. COVID-19 will destroy our spring and summer months revenues. They will destroy our 2020 revenues. And on the wholesale side, we haven't been operating for very long. But what we have been doing is selling to venues. And we were really starting to grow and sell to camps, schools, museums, aquariums, all the places that you would want a little ice cream treat for your kids, but you don't want to panic about what's on the ingredients list. Those are all shuttered indefinitely. And the rest of our wholesale business is a lot of restaurants. And they are not scooping canals of ice cream onto a plate and then throwing it into a metal tin for curbside pickup. It's just not happening right now. Everybody's moving to limited menus, reasonably so. But what that means is every aspect of Penny Lake has been hit. Every business in the United States is going to get crushed. We all are. But restaurants, the hospitality industry, we're first wave. And we're feeling it right now. And our pain will last longer. If you have social media accounts, you are watching some of your favorite restaurants say that they are closing indefinitely. A lot of them will not reopen. And that is the sad reality of our situation.
100%. 100%. I agree with that. And it's 100% a fact, and it's really hard to swallow. It's really hard to hear you say that as someone who has built a whole brand out of trying to support the restaurant industry. I will tell you, my phone is ringing off the hook for advice, for news, for what is everyone else saying. And it has made me feel so useless in a time where I really don't know, what to tell them. And it's like almost like I'm a therapist right now, and it's really hard, and it's keeps me up at night knowing that some of my very good friends might not be opening or achieving what they want to achieve this year, and it's really hard to swallow. Have you seen the impact yet on suppliers? Are you ordering right now? I mean, are you kind of frozen where you are and just trying to sell what you have?
We are. We've, we're using every cost-cutting measure that we can at the moment. Nothing's really off the table for us. No restaurant can tell you that it is. I'm just an ice cream shop. I do get regular updates from suppliers. They are trying to assure everybody that there are no supply chain disruptions. But of course there are supply chain disruptions. It's not possible to avoid them. For that matter, because I have a dairy manufacturing facility, I get regular updates from the state of New York, the Department of Agriculture and Markets, Dairy Division. They had sent out guidance pretty recently saying that if you're a manufacturing facility, keep in mind that everything you do would prevent COVID-19 from spreading. Good manufacturing practices, Part 117B, is drilled into all manufacturers. I can be really boring on that topic, but it is, think of it as the code that we follow as Department of Health on hyperdrive. And because we have procedures in place, we have sanitary standard operating procedures in place, because the product is pasteurized, this should not affect product at all. And I think that the state and the FDA are probably starting to worry about manufacturing slowdowns and manufacturing stoppages because somebody is carrying it and shutting down an entire facility. I personally, when I buy groceries and supplies for this house, I personally wonder every time if this is the last time I'm going to be able to buy X for a little while. How easy is it going to be for stores to restock shelves? It's I don't mean to be your most depressing guest ever, Katie, but it is a really very dire situation. And food shortages, they will contribute to hunger. These are real problems, real time. And it feels like the food industry and the restaurant industry, they need a special bailout really fast, faster than the airlines, which I wish didn't get a bailout at all. I have opinions about that. I have opinions about a lot of things. I've been watching a lot of news lately. I'm not fun.
Well, I mean, I think, really the point of this is, look, I don't want to be one to continue the dialogue in social media feeds of negativity and misinformation.
Right.
Really, I'm trying to use this as a platform to educate people and to kind of really put everything in perspective. If you have a job right now, if your kids are at home, if everyone is healthy, put that into perspective. Think about that, but also, and we're going to end on a more positive note on how we can support you in a little bit. But we need to know about these things. We need to know about what's going to happen to our small business owners, what is currently happening with our small business owners. We need to have that look, to have that perspective, and also to figure out how we can help. Because I know there's so many people out there, I've seen it already, that have really put in incredible efforts to try to help the food industry in several different ways. I know you recently, or you just talked about getting some emails from different government organizations. I know it's a real mess out there. For other small business owners, how are you currently getting your information on mandates and updates?
I get it from a variety of sources. So because we're a dairy processor, we get things from the state. Because I've done a lot of education and training at Cornell CALS, and I've done projects with the Food Safety Institute there, I get updates from Cornell University. Their ag school is a wonderful resource and is filled with food safety experts in every industry. So if you need something like that, you should give them a call or an email. They are a wonderful resource for the state of New York, but you can call them from anywhere in the country and they'll help you. I get updates from the Westchester Business Council, the Westchester County government, the Westchester County Department of Health. I get updates from the CDC. It feels like an assault of information, and it feels like the guidance changes constantly. So I'm constantly reading and rereading. And now is actually a pretty great time for social media. Now is a great time to look at the headlines on Twitter. Now is actually a pretty good time to even watch channels like CNBC, which I hate. But there is a ton of information out there. I kind of wish it was better collated. But at this time, I think everybody's just doing the best they can, and they're reacting to like I said, a fluid situation that is changing. The landscape changes daily.
I mean, we have seen that for the past 3 weeks. I mean, the shift in communication and the shift in what's going on and the mandates. And I think it's really put a lot of you on your toes, because you cannot rest easy right now, because there's another mandate around the corner, another quarantine around the corner.
Right.
And you have to adapt, and it's it's a crazy situation. How have you been communicating with other small business owners? What have you been hearing?
So I have. I feel very strongly, as I'm sure everybody else does, that the only way our industry gets through this is together. And so, and this is kind of a really good exercise for any small business owner, and in general, you should constantly have a good network of resources that you talk to every once in a while for advice. You know, I feel like 50 people I know are my unofficial advisory board at all times. Because I get so much information from on food safety and from the food industry and from various trade organizations that I'm in, I actually started privately a small Facebook group to just knowledge share and dump that information for other small food business owners. And then I'm constantly checking in with everybody I know. Phone calls go a long way. It's ridiculous that like my kids are like horrified that I call anybody. They're like, why don't you text? But you know, phone calls go a really long way. You should be constantly checking in to see what other small businesses do. I feel like nobody has one really great plan. I feel like every business should have a disaster plan, though. I think, you know, the reality is that this is going to last months, and you should know what your company is going to look like at the end of, say, 3 of those. And, you know, for a lot of us, it's a lot of hard decisions to make. But also talking to other people in the same boat might help you make them a little clearer headed.
Well, I think as speaking from a small business entrepreneur, it's really hard sometimes to separate your emotions from your head.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you lean on a bigger network of people who will not be as emotional about your position.
Well, of course. And, I think the first thing that we do is go to fear, right? I mean, I know that I have 100% fallen into this category already, because, I do have a lot of clients who are in the restaurant industry, and it's, immediately these fear-based, thoughts come into my head, and I kind of have to push them aside, because you need the clarity, you need the focus, you need to focus or shift your energy into being creative and being able to think on your feet. And I really know it's difficult to do, but I really hope that everyone, puts that into practice. Speaking from an Intoxicate perspective, because I'm always trying to be helpful to my small business owners and my restaurants and my food producers. So how can local media be more helpful right now? I mean, do you think we have to also adapt to kind of shift the narrative here?
I think the real story here is what happens next to the restaurant industry. I think certainly in terms of numbers, restaurant industry is responsible for more than 15.6 million jobs in the United States currently. That number is going to be lopped in half really soon. The number of restaurants in the United States are going to be lopped in half really soon. What media could do is cover that. There's a lot of focus at the government level right now on bailouts and relief. There's a proposition floated, the Andrew Yang proposition, that $1,000 per person, but they have to meet certain criteria. I'm not certain that's going to do it. There needs to be, because the restaurant industry does need to exist, it needs to stay where it is. It's going to be misshapen for a long time to come, but it will be there. There needs to be a focus on what can be done for the restaurant industry. There's a lot that can be done for the restaurant industry. A lot of us have SBA loans. We should get 3 months forgiveness. Those disaster loans are tied to credit. And so if small business owners are operating multiple restaurants and they've already taken out small business loans and they have a house, their credit's already being dinged. So what we could do is focus less on small business loans and focus more on small business grants. That is a really important thing. Before we think of bailing out the airline industry again, we could think about small businesses. There was a focus in 2008 where our economy is unfortunately rapidly approaching. There was a focus in 2008 on bailing out the banks. This time, focus needs to be on bailing out small businesses. If the media, and I think there's a really lot of good journalism out there, I'm a pro-journalist person. If the media could take a more proactive approach to the business landscape, for a while focus on the journalism about the business of small business. The food writers that have been spending years posting really pretty photos of, shrimp dishes could instead focus on stats, on real solutions. The people that the food writers should be interviewing are their community bank lenders, are people with the SBA, are people with higher up with trade organizations that are fighting for restaurant industry bailouts. Those would be really important areas to focus on right now. I don't think for the next year anybody should be focusing on restaurant weeks, or which pizza is the best in which city. That's just, I think that those things should all go away temporarily. And it's a really nice time to meld food journalism and business journalism. And then from there, go back to good old fashioned storytelling on the mom and pop small businesses. I think that would help huge for all of us. I think it would be really important. And I think it would be a catalyst for change. Everybody should be leaning on not only their local politicians and their state politicians and their federal politicians and their networks, whether it's their local chamber of commerce, but they should be leaning on their journalists.
Agreed. And I think, it's while those stories kind of have a place down the line and in terms of help drum up interest, I really think it's important for our government leaders and our media to kind of step up to the plate at this point and really fight for our small business owners and really make sure we're steering the conversation in a way that's going to be beneficial. I know that you and I have spoken a couple of times over the past couple of weeks, and you and I are both members of the Business Council of Westchester. And my next to do after this conversation is to find out who I can speak to there and have the same kind of conversation in terms of how we can help. And I would really love your support in helping draft something that we could work with the Business Council of Westchester in conjunction with them to make sure that what we are saying here today reaches Albany, and there is some kind of bailout, there is some kind of grant put in place for our small restaurant owners, our small business restaurant owners, and food producers, because it's more important than the conversation about loans. And you're 100% right about that. Shifting on a positive note, because I know a lot of this is very heavy and it's going to be very real for a lot of people who are not familiar with the industry. You know, I have been hearing this for the past 3 weeks. A lot of people have not. So I know it's going to be a very hard pill for some people to swallow. So I want to always start on a positive note and end on a positive note. How can we support Penny Lick Ice Cream right now? What can we do? The person listening, the food lover.
You just want to know what flavors I have in stock. So Penny Lick, because we're an ice cream shop, we have truncated our hours, and we've done so in compliance with the state requirements to cut service hours, and we've changed the way we're operating. Our store is open 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And our full menus are all on our website. We'll release the flavors we have in stock, pennylickicecream.com, and our social media is all at Penny Lick Ice Cream. We are moving to pickup only, and we've removed all of our seating, and we are moving to curbside pickup. The town's allowing us to do that. Next week, we will move to a delivery model of our own, but this week you can order all the time for delivery during our operating hours on Uber Eats, on DoorDash, on Postmates. When we move to our own delivery model, we urge that you buy it through us instead. Although the food service apps like that are starting to cut their prices, which is helpful. They mostly take 30% off the top on a good day, and that's rough.
Well, I also want to interrupt you just to add, if you are doing your own delivery model, does that keep employees in place?
Yeah, so we employees already, and we needed to, because all the events that we do no longer exist, and I just don't have enough hours to go around, with the intention of absolutely hiring them back as soon as I can, as long as they're available. It will keep some employees in place, but we're operating like every other food business right now on a skeleton crew. We've had to all keep people. Like I said, the unemployment numbers are about to jump. But in the meanwhile, we have tons of pints of ice cream, and I heard the local supermarkets are out. So we can deliver them to you, and you can come pick them up. pennylickicecream.com.
All right, so let's be serious. If you haven't been serious enough already, what do you have a lot of that I can take off of your hands?
A lot of. I don't know. Actually, my factory staff, who I'm absolutely keeping in place, has been a little bored, so she's been coming up with crazy specials, and I haven't seen them yet. But you know, I mean, we certainly always we are fully stocked with all of our flavors, and we certainly always have. The ones that sell quickest would be like dark chocolate coconut or chocolate malt. Banana bread's coming back next week. You know, kid favorites. I think I have a lot of mint chip this week. Our mint chip's good.
All right. Well, what time? You said you open at what time?
3 p.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week in Hastings-on-Hudson.
Okay.
Our factory is not open to customers because it is a dairy processing facility.
Right. Well, I'm coming today to get ice cream because I could use a little, maybe the edge off. And again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I thank you for your continued support as, you know, a community. Thank you so much. And I just want to let everybody know, again, on intoxicate.com, there is 6 ways that you can currently help those in the restaurant industry. Again, as this landscape changes, those ways may change a little bit. But you know, we're doing the best that we can to stay on top of everything. You can also find that list of who's open, who's taking takeout and curbside and delivery. All of that information is right there on intoxicate.com. To my small business owners in the restaurant industry, I feel for you. Please stay strong. I usually end on live life deliciously, but I think for this, I'm going to say stay healthy and stay strong.